the power that Debbie gets with just little words like, what is it? Stop, Daddy, stop. I say, giggling. Stop, Daddy, stop. I say, not giggling. You know, one word, the whole thing turns. So this little 70-word, just masterpieces, I think. I was going to ask about the psychology interludes a little bit later, but since you just read it, can you tell us? So that's one of the, I said, this sort of a not so risky project. This is one of the nutsiest and most perfect elements, I think. What are the psychology interludes? How did you hit upon them? How do they function? You know, what is this invention that you came up with?
Oh my goodness. I think it started, those of you who remember object relations theory, and Ron maybe in the background, with Margaret Mahler's theories of separation, individuation, the stages that a child goes through in order to ideally pass through being attached to the mother, they usually say, and then being able to be free in the world. And I thought, I really want to talk about that. I really want to write about Margaret Mahler's theory of separation, individuation, because it so applies to so many things that you'll see in the book, where it's like this, especially the theory of rapprochement, where it is when kind of around toddlerhood, when a child sort of inches away, but then, oops, I've gone too far, and then they kind of go back. And so this is push-pull that exists in remaining close and attached to the family or the parent figure, and being able to be separate, safe and separate. So I think I wrote one. I think I just wrote like something that kind of summarized Margaret Mahler's theories, and then I thought about Mnuchin too. Mnuchin is a family therapist, family systems theorist from, this is all from, you know, the 80s when I went to social work school, these old theories. And he talks about, as you heard, emotional incest, about family enmeshment, and he specialized in families with people with eating disorders, which was one of my field placements in social work. So I saw that up close, like what too much closeness can do. It can kill people. That's whatever. We won't go down that road. So then when I don't know. I think what we decided together was that it couldn't just be some or academic thing about a theory. That where's Debbie's story? What if we stop and have the psychology interlude? Where's Debbie? So I think we just started playing with that. So now each one, I think there's 7, and they're interspersed throughout, including Erickson's stages, sort of life cycle crises. One from early adulthood and one from age after 65 is the crisis he calls integrity versus despair. So all of that landed just so well and was so exciting, and I didn't really care at that point whether it was kosher, whether it fit some, do you know what I mean? Whether it fits some trope out there about memoir writing. And I worried in the beginning, would I be criticized and all that stuff, but I don't worry about that. I didn't worry about that after a while, and it's just like, oh, that's part of me too. Both the social worker, but also being able to reflect on my own life through the lens of these theories that meant a lot to me as a person and as a therapist.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that you can write about being a therapist and write about being in therapy, which I also had a question about if we have time. But those psychology interludes ended up being sort of the embodiment of that part of you, that you would include those. Just you know what I mean? It's like more, in addition to what they're about, the form of them is just, it like sprang from your forehead as it wouldn't spring from anybody other memoirist's forehead, because they don't have the same experience as you. So I thought that was great. And thinking of the Erickson after 65 stage, and the question of, you know, was it okay to have been me or to be me? Yeah.
He cried, I cried. There was a moment. We were on Zoom a lot. That's how we communicated.
So I'm thinking about you writing this at 70 or as a post 70 person. When we were thinking about looking for publishers at one point, a number of publishers had sort of rubrics for they like to publish marginalized writers or disenfranchised writers or people whose voices don't typically, that kind of thing. And we were sort of debating, well, could you apply for those, or could you be in that book series from that publisher? And I think the publishers are mostly often thinking about queer writers, black writers, indigenous writers, whatever. But I wonder if you have anything you want to say about writing from the point of view of a 70-year-old woman, and in what way is that a marginalized position, or a position of having a voice that is often overlooked or dismissed in our culture? And were there tropes you wanted to avoid? Were there stereotypes you wanted to subvert? How did you position yourself writing? Yeah, we don't have many memoirs or certainly not debut memoirs from women in their 70s. So anything about?
Well, that's changing.
That?
That's changing for sure. I think women are really getting their stories out there now, and there's a big community of us trying to say, hey, it's never too late. I think there's a perspective that I felt I have on my own life that I thought other people could relate to. That's one thing. I certainly know people who've been through many of the same things I have and just trying to figure out who they are. But being single, never married, no kids, I mean, that's a marginalized-ish group. And there's a lot of stigma to that. It's like, what's the matter with you? Aren't you capable of having an intimate relationship? And I've, in my life and therapy, had to come to terms with that. Just, okay, that is my story. I will never have a biological child, and I don't know if I'll ever be married. It's not something I, think, like, anyway, that's a whole separate line. But you have to come to terms with the reality, like, this is my present life. So I was like, I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of that. It's like I've lived. Barbara just made like a face that makes me cry. And that I earned that awareness, I have to say. I mean, I'm not like being grandiose about it, but I've worked really hard, and it's very difficult to say this in this kind of a public forum, because there is so much shame attached to not having been in a successful love relationship. And as you see in the book, I addressed that a little bit toward the end, because there's you never know what's going to happen. So it was more of a celebration of arrival, which is also the escape velocity theme, and also the subtitle, how one 70-year-old woman pulled her way out of her too much, not enough family, and and found herself, so it's very lovely to feel like I have a self that's separate from my identity with my family, where, as you heard, with the blurred boundaries and we are, if you leave, someone will die, and a lot of us know that. A lot of us have that in our legacy as well. And it's very hard to overcome, because the threat is you're going to lose the family. If you leave, we'll die, is the unconscious message. So overcoming that was a lot of work over many, many years, but then celebrating being 70, and then freaking COVID, everything it was like, wait a minute, I want to go out and play, and I have to stay inside, and that was hard. My neighbors, we share the house, and we survived COVID together. So yeah, I think other women are writing about it, other women. So Sari Botten, raise your hand if you've heard of Sari Botten's Oldster magazine. Check it out, because she is curating a ton of stuff from all kinds of sources about mostly women, but also men. Michael recently had a Memoirland author questionnaire about his book, Place Envy, which you have to buy. It's amazing. And I sent her early on, I've written about this, it was published on Brevity Blog, I think. I sent her early on an inquiry just saying, hey, I'm writing this cool thing with 70 micromemoirs of 70 words each. Do you have any suggestions for small publishers or indie houses that might be open to this kind of odd thing? Because it's only 4,900 words. That's 20 double-spaced pages. I mean, it's, it's like, is it a book or is it a long essay or what is it? And I always envisioned it as a book with these spacing pages. So I sent this to Sari Botany. This was March, almost exactly 2 years ago. No, 1 year ago, sorry. And she said, well, I'll have to think about it, but in the meantime, do you want to submit some? And I'll put them up on the Ulster magazine, and maybe that'll help. Well, within a week, I put up 10 excerpts, and she loved them, and it got 59,000 views within a week, and like 400 comments. I mean, which is a lot for her. I think it's like one of the, I feel like I'm bragging, but it's one of the top 10 still. But the point is, so it's one of the top 10 still on Ulster magazine. So at that moment, I mean, I know I touched a chord, so I am not alone out there. There's so many women, married or unmarried, who are just like trying to find, how do we face our old age, whether we're alone or not.
Well, that's a great segue. Maybe I'm looking at the time also.
What time is it?
7:45.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have a ton of other questions, but since you were talking about not being ashamed of being single and not having biological children and all that, and then the ways you've looked for and stopped looking for, maybe start again looking for companionship. Do you want to read some from that part of the book?
Yes.
Because I think it's fun, and it's not just fun.
It's a little lighter.
Yeah.
And these four excerpts were up on the Ulster magazine, and so it's the coolest thing when you're a writer and you're sitting at your desk and Zooming with someone beautiful in the world like Michael, and then all of a sudden there's like an audience, and you never know if there's going to be an audience. I mean, everyone knows here who's writing and trying to get published. So this is the beginning of part 3, which is starting around when I'm sort of late 40s, early 50s-ish. It's called Open Space. This is it's hard to see. It's a remote control for, you'll see. My full-size mattress dies. Saggy, lumpy, impossible. I order a queen-size sleep number, his and hers airbags, his and hers remotes. Night 1, I plummet into a center trench. You need a partner's countervailing weight, the phone rep says. But the salesman promised, we call you the hopefuls. I'll send a single bag, this happened, it's true. I'll send a single bag replacement. You can upgrade anytime. And the second remote, keep it for now, she says, just in case, we both chirp. That actually came from a coupling column I did in the Boston Globe in 2009, so it's a distillation of a previously published piece. I cheated. This is called, it's a series of 3. This is 3 blind dates, see how I run. And you see the coffee mug. Mark, the hairy Politico. Kickstand Cafe, Arlington. White ponytail, divorced, politically active, jazz musician, potential. In a monologue, he reveals his sister's hysterectomy, father's phlebitis, lackadaisical co-workers, socialist leanings. He finally asks, you're a therapist and a writer. What do you write? I begin. He interrupts. I go pee, ponder my options. Give him a chance. When I return, he still rambles. I have to leave, I lie. He says, let's do this again sometime. Second date. This is 3 blind dates, see how I run. Anthony, the close walker. You can hopefully see the illustration. Fresh Pond. Divorced songwriter, sweaty hug. Margarita, his chihuahua, yips. As we walk, his bristly arm hairs tickle. I edge away. He edges toward. We rest on a bench. His thigh grazes mine. Give him a chance. He confesses he's 5 years older than his profile, 60 to my 50. Margarita peas on my brand new capris. Sorry, I've gotta go, I say. Anthony calls out, let's do this again sometime. And then I hope you can see the illustration. Third
This
date.
is so incredible stuff.
Oh, I want to talk about Anna, the illustrator, so much, but we probably don't have time. Lawrence the sincere depressive. Starbucks. Lanky health administrator, meditator, chinos, checkered shirt. His gastrointestinal history, 3 ex-wives. Asks no questions. Give him a chance. We touch on depression and death, diverticulitis and diarrhea. After an hour, he says, let's evaluate our date. I say I need time to digest it. My best in ages, he says. I decline a second date, but I can't add words. I decline a second date, but earn his endorsement. Your future partner's a lucky guy. I quit dating.
So good.